We thank Allah, the one who have unlimited source of grace, mercy, and blessings. All matters will return to Him. And Allah is well aware and know everything that we do. I bear witness there is no creator except Allah, the one and only with no partners. The Almighty and assured truth, I bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is His servant and messenger. My dear brothers and sisters of Islam, our talk today, inshaAllah, is about the irrelevant wicked and its relationship to the destruction of the societies and the closeness of the Day of Judgment. The irrelevant wicked, when you hear that description, there is a definition to it, so when you hear it for the rest of the khutbah, you know who we refer to when we say the irrelevant wicked. The irrelevant wickeds are the insignificance among people. Those who do not have the honor to hold them from deception. They do not have honor to hold them from deception to people, from lying, from cheating, from betraying, all the bad characters. And they do not have faith. They do not have belief or conviction to stop their evil deed. They are free from any guidance whatsoever, either in honor or a guidance of faith and belief of our religion, Islam. The lowest among those irrelevant wicked are the unjust rulers, and beneath them, those who help them and aid them to stay on top, sacrificing their own faith and conviction. Many hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, draw a clear picture of what we experience today of the rise of the dishonorable wicked above the noble bias, leading to a moral decline which destroy nation and societies. And we see exactly what's happening to the ummah of Muslims with the rulers of the Islamic countries. Among these hadiths was narrated by Imam Ahmad, Abu Ya'la, and Al-Bazzar on the authority of Anas ibn Malik, may God be pleased with all of them, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said what can be translated, before the arrival of Al-Dajjal, before the arrival of the Antichrist, there will be a very deceptive years of deception, years people will not be understanding what is happening and what is truthful and what is a lie and what is good and what's bad. Very deceptive years where the truthful called liars and the liars called truthfuls. The trustworthy will not be trusted and the one who betray will be trusted. And it is year where the irrelevant wickeds speaks of people's affair, speaks of people's affair, take control of people, decide what's good for them and what's bad for them. This is the word of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In another narration by Imam Ahmad and Ibn Majah, on the authority of Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, describing this irrelevant wicked, saying, the criminal troublemaker, which no one pay attention to, speaks in the affair of the masses. My dear brothers and sisters, in these troubling times where people are deceived, the liars called truthful, either because of their ability to fool others or because of their money and power, and the truthful bias called liars, nobody want to listen to them anymore. People are betrayed by the irrelevant sinners because of dishonest reflection, their honest presentation, their fraudulent presentation, the way they carry themselves, they speak well, they eloquent. As it was narrated by Huzaifa, may God be pleased with him, that he said, a time will come where a man will be deceived, or men will be deceived, and will be described, these men, how wise, how funny, and how good and handsome, and he is not having any ounce, an ounce of an atom of belief in his heart. So a time will come where a man will be described how wise, how funny, how good, how handsome, and he is in his heart not a weight of an atom of faith or belief. In the time of those impostors who have no faith or manners, they ascend from being irrelevant, criminals, ignorant, servant of the devil, with no morals value, to oversee people, ruling them and ruling among them and taking charge of Muslim affair. Those who take charge of Muslim affair. This confirms what the angel Jibreel said about the requirement of the happening of the Day of Judgment. Ibn Abi Khuzaymah narrated that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that the angel Jibreel said, when the naked, barefooted, among the worst of people became rulers of people, this is a requirement of the happening of the Day of Judgment. Elaborating about the chain effect of this moral decline and its catastrophic outcome on societies, Imam Ibn Rajab said, explaining this catastrophic declining chain of effect of moral decline, he said, what we understand as a condition of the arrival of the Day of Judgment is a state of affair where all matters and important position assigned and taken by those who are not qualified. Those who are not qualified take charge. Imposters everywhere. Imposters imams, imposters scholars, everywhere. The Prophet was asked about the Day of Judgment, and he said, if the affair assigned to those who are not qualified, then expect the Day of Judgment. The Prophet was actually asked about the Day of Judgment and what signs. And he said, if the affairs are assigned to those who are not qualified, then expect the Day of Judgment. If the irrelevant, ignorant, or cruel person became a head of a state, and only those who have money and wealth take charge, all life's order of faith and common sense will be spoiled and will be upside down. He who is poor and irrelevant turning into a ruler or in charge of people regardless of his control in private or in general, a head of a state or a head of a company or a head of a household, he would not give people what they deserve and keep the wealth and power to himself. Having wealth and power with ignorance and cruelty as a ruler spoil faith, spoil the belief, spoil everything around us. As the priority not to educate and to endorse righteousness, but the focus will be to harvest more money and more control and more power. At that point, the faith, the guidance of Allah and His Prophet is being put aside and personal gain will rule. The corrupt ruler will not pay any attention to the decline of moral values or the abuse of rights and the need of the people. All lead to a state of affair. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said about it in another hadith, what can be translated, the Day of Judgment will not arrive until every tribe are ruled by its hypocrites. The Day of Judgment and other signs will not be happening until every tribe, every nation, every group will be ruled by the hypocrites, their own hypocrites among them. If the ruler and those in charge materialize this behavior, naturally it reflects in all aspects of life, as the liar will be believed, the truthful will be denied, and the one who betrays will be trusted, and the trustworthy will be not trusted, and the ignorance will speak and take the microphone, and the knowledgeable will be silenced or disappear altogether, leading to a state of affair which described again by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in Hadith al-Hakim, that he said, among the sign of the Day of Judgment, that the honorable and the noble will be put down, and the sinner, the evil sinner, will be elevated among people. Among people, the honorable, the knowledgeable, the scholars will be put down, and the irrelevant sinners, the wicked, will be actually elevated above them. Imam Ibn Rajab concluded saying, at the end of time, the truth will be upside down. When you talk about truth, you will be asked, whose truth? Which one is you talking about? There is a very expensive Porsche blocking a neighbor entrance and bringing shame to Muslims. We talk about this almost every week, and unfortunately one person can give all Muslims and Islam a bad name. May Allah forgive him. Imam Ibn Rajab concluded saying, at the end of time, truth will be upside down and matters will be very confusing, leading to such a corrupt, confusing state of affair that we live today. My dear brothers and sisters, the question is, again, we described all this happening and all what's going on so you don't feel alone, because everyone wonder about what is going on and what's happening. The real question is, what the true Muslim would do when everything is upside down, when it comes to truth, and the irrelevant wicked sinner take charge of people, encouraging and promoting every innovation and every lies. What a true Muslim will do. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, our teacher, did not leave us alone. Answering this critical question, the Prophet provided the answer as it was narrated by Imam Abi Dawood and At-Tirmidhi on the authority of Al-Arbad ibn Sariyah, may God be pleased with him, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, and listen to the answer. The Prophet said what can be translated, those among you who live after me, after my passing, the Prophet talking about us who live after his passing, will experience many contradictions. That the Prophet talking 14th century, more than 14th century ago. You will experience many contradictions. So hold tight on my sunnah and the guidance of the righteous Khalif. Hold tight on it as if you are holding tight on something with your teeth. And be warned and stay away from new issues. New issues in faith. New subject in our conviction. As every new issue is an innovation. And every innovation is a misguidance. This is the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. That's just seeing all this conflicting hadith and all this conflicting interpretation and all this new issues that is being put in our faith that it does not even belong to it. When this happens, just follow and hold tight on the guidance of the Prophet and the righteous Khalif. The answer is very clear, my dear brothers and sisters. Follow what you know of the Quran and the Sunnah. Follow the guidance of the wise Khalif, the righteous scholar, and do not follow the path of the unjust oppressors or believe in their lies and misguidance that you might mislead the way. Imam Muslim narrated on authority of Abu Hurairah that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, at the end of time of my ummah, at the end of time of my ummah, you find people talk with what you have never heard before or your parents. People talk about issues that you never even heard or pondered before. The Prophet saying, stay away and avoid them, that they do not misguide you or put you on the wrong path. If the state of affair if what is happening from these wicked oppressors and those who are in charge of the Muslims these days reach the ultimate of darkness, inviting us to disbelief or misguidance, that we have a proof, a clear proof from Allah of its wickedness, then follow what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said in another hadith that was narrated by Ibn Majah on the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may God be pleased with him, that he said, that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, after I am gone, men will take charge of you, which will discourage the sunnah, which will discard and disregard the sunnah. Brothers, if anybody parking illegally, please, if you even think that you're parking illegally, please move your car. Please move your car. Neighborhood have rights in Islam. We're going to stop for a second, just for all of you, whoever is, there is 2 people now, actually 3. One with a Porsche, and now 2 blocking an entrance of a neighbor, that if he have an emergency, he can leave his home. If you cannot come early and there is plenty of parking, and for your knowledge, the church opening their parking lot for us, which have over 2,000 parking lot over there empty, that you can use. This is an announcement not for the majority. If you see something wrong, please stop it. It's an announcement for the minority who bring shame again and harm to Muslims. If you see him, it's your responsibility to stop him. Every one of us. We don't have volunteers to stop and police the parking lot. We invite everyone to participate and help us. So the picture of Muslim will not turn to be that bad. Please, brothers, if you have time to come early, to just stand out there, you will be serving Islam and serving yourself more than attempting to pray Jum'ah itself. To pray Jum'ah and get discredit, that's the ultimate of loss. Going back to the command of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when the most corrupt rulers and the wicked approach us with something completely out of the faith of Islam, completely we have evidence from Allah of its misguiding, then the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, describing this time, after I am gone, men will take charge of you which will disregard the sunnah, follow innovation, delay prayers from its proper time. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud listening to this happening and the Prophet predicting it. He said, O Prophet of Allah, if I live to see that, what do I do? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told him, do not ask. That's Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, the most knowledgeable, asking. The Prophet actually is drawing his attention to the most of a common sense, of the easiest way to combat all this. He was not putting him down, as much as the companion, always of their habits, wanted to learn and wanted to hear it from the tongue of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, there is no obedience to those who disobey Allah. There is no obedience. There is no confusion. There is no obedience to those who disobey Allah. One last point. If the likeness of this irrelevant wickeds are running for an important position, then be mindful of Allah and do not endorse them or support them. It is narrated that Allah will be angry with a man who help another man to be in charge of people, and among them he who is better and mindful of Allah than him. It's a responsibility of each and every one of them, inshaAllah. May Allah make us among those who hear the truth and apply it and see the evil and as evil and disregard it. May Allah put us on the right path. Assalamu alaikum.